सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति। नमः श्री तुलसीदास सद्वरिष्ठाय धीमते पूरितं हृदयं येन रामप्रेमामृतेन मे नीलाम्बुजश्यामलकोमलाङ्गं सीतासमारोपितवामभागम् पाणौ महासायकचारुचापं नमामि रामं रघुवंशनाथम् अतुलितबलधामं हेमशैलाभदेहं दनुजवनकृशानुं ज्ञानिनामग्रगण्यं सकलगुणनिधानं वानराणामधीशं रघुपतिप्रियभक्तं वातजातं नमामि. So yesterday we had seen, listening to this beautiful words of Jambavant to Hanuman. So Jambavant said, Hanuman, your job is Bhagwan's job. So you are here, you have taken avatar for Bhagwan. So therefore you must go across this ocean and do the job of Bhagwan. That is giving the message to Sita Mata. So then yesterday we had seen, as Hanuman was going across this ocean, what were the obstacles? Obstacle number 1, Mainak Parvat. Obstacle number 2, Surasa. Obstacle number 3, Simhika. So yesterday we had seen all that. Now proceeding further. At last Hanumanji reaches the other shore of the ocean. There he finds a huge forest full of trees, fruits, leaves, etc., flowers, etc. And there he finds a mountain. What is the name of the mountain? Subel mountain. Trikuta mountain is the mountain upon which Lanka is there. He doesn't go there. He climbs on the mountain which is called as Subela. From there he gets the vision of the Lanka. So then from there on, sitting on top of that mountain, he sees Lanka. So Lanka was situated upon Trikuta mountain. So he found how difficult it is to reach there. This Lanka was, of course, it was on the top of this Trikuta mountain. Even this Trikuta mountain also was surrounded by ocean. So if at all anyone wants to get into this Lanka, he has to first of all cross over the ocean. That itself is a huge task. Number 2, he has to climb this mountain. And number 3, the entire Lanka was surrounded by huge walls. What kind of wall? Golden wall. Now here is a description of what kind of, Hanumanji was seeing what all things were there in that Lanka. कनककोट विचित्रमणिकृत सुंदरायतना घना चौहट्ट हट्ट सुबट्ट बीथी चारुपुर बहुविधि बना गजबाजी खच्चर निकर पदचर रथ बरूथहि को गने बहुरूप निशिचर जूथ अति बल सेन बरनत नहीं बने. So what is said here? So this Lanka, Kanaka court, walls around the Lanka was made of Kanaka. Kanaka means gold. And not only that, Manikrita, it was studded with gems and jewels, etc. It was studded. Even the outer walls of Lanka was studded with all these gems and rubies and etc. Sundarayatana Ghana, all the cities inside, they were beautifully designed, well planned cities. So what all did you see inside? Chauhat, there were crossroads, bazaars, streets, lanes, by-lanes. The whole Lanka city was beautifully planned. It was a well-planned city. Everything was there inside that city. And all those houses were also very beautiful inside. And then, what all did he see there? Gaja, elephants. Baji, horses. Khachara, donkeys. And then, Nikara, Padachara, Ratha, chariots. And very many soldiers. So they were all protecting the city inside. So it was nothing but what he called as a Chaturangini Sena. You know what is Chaturangini Sena? Chaturangini Sena means Chaturanga, 4. These are the 4. What are the 4? Elephants, horses, chariots, and then foot soldiers. This is called as a Chaturangini Sena. So this Chaturangini Sena was protecting Lanka from within. And what else did he see there? Bana baga upabana batika sarakopa bapi sohahi. What other things were there? There were bana baga, orchards, groves, gardens, parks, lakes, wells. So we can say that this city was very well planned, beautifully maintained city was this Lanka city. Well planned, well maintained, well protected. This is what Hanumanji saw. And not only that, Nara Naga Sura Gandharva Kanya Rupa Muni Manamahoy, all beautiful, what you call women, daughters of Nara, Naga, Sura, Gandharva, Narakanya, Nagakanya, Surakanya, Gandharva Kanya means daughters of all these people. Human beings, Naga, Gandharvas, they were all beautiful women. They were all there, wandering here and there. They were so beautiful that even an ascetic's mind would get agitated by looking at them. So the description seems as though it's a description of some America or, all the materialistic country also you will find all these things. Now here, keep this in mind, there was no temple. There was nothing called spiritual places. There was nothing. All these things were well taken care. Kaho mal deh bisal sail saman ati bal garjahi Nana akhareh bhirahi bahu vidhi eka ekan tarjahi. What else? There were huge Rakshasas, as big as a mountain. Huge Rakshasas, they were wrestlers. So what they were doing? They were practicing in their gymnasiums. So someone was, challenging some other for war or duel, the fight. Some others were roaring. Some were practicing. Some were challenging others. And this way they were practicing. So some other place, these kind of things were seen. All this Hanumanji is seeing. What else? The security was absolutely tight. 24/7, this Lanka was being, we can watched by these, Rakshasas. And some other place, what did he see? Kahu mahisha manusha dhenu khar aja khala nishar char bachchahi. Some other place, there were these nisacharas, Rakshasas. What were they doing? They were eating the raw flesh. What were they eating? Mahisha, buffalo. Manusha, human beings. Dhenu, cows. Khara, donkeys. Aja, goat. They were just eating them raw. On other side, this is what we're seeing. And then Tulsidas ji says, Ehi lagi tulasi das inaki katha kachu ek hai kahi. Tulsidas ji, why are you narrating all these kind of things? Eating raw and all that. So Tulsidas ji says, I am narrating this because all these Rakshasas, they are going to give up their bodies in the holy waters of Bhagwan's arrows. And after giving up the body, all these Asuras, Rakshasas, they are going to attain that Moksha Pada. And because these Asuras are going to attain that supreme state of liberation, therefore I am telling all this. Otherwise I am not interested in telling all this. Why am I describing all this? Because very soon Bhagwan's arrows are going to kill them. So somewhere they are going to come in contact with Bhagwan, therefore I am describing all this. Yes, so this is the description of Lanka, and this is what Hanumanji saw sitting on which mountain? Subel mountain, yes. And now Hanumanji understood that I cannot just enter directly into this Lanka because the security is very tight. So in the daytime I cannot enter. I will have to enter in the night time. And night time also I cannot enter with this huge form. I will have to make myself very, very small. Pur rakhware dekhi bahu kapi man keen bichar ati laghu roop dharau nisi nagar karau paisar. So then Hanumanji decided that I will go in a very, very small form. Which, how much small? Just like a mosquito. What is the size of a mosquito? To that size I will reduce myself, and in the night I will enter into this Lanka city. So therefore Hanumanji started waiting to become dark. And then what happened? मसक समान रूप कपि धरी लंक ही चलयु सुमिरि नर हरि. And then when it was dark, Hanumanji made himself to the size of a mosquito, remembering the Lord, Sumiri Narahari. Remembering the Supreme Lord, he entered into Lanka. And the moment he entered into Lanka, नाम लंकिनी एक निशिचरी सो कह चलसी मोहि निंदरी. The moment Hanumanji entered into Lanka, what happened? That Lanka was guarded by a Rakshasi. What was her name? Lankini. It is said that she was the Adhishthatri Devata of that Lankapuri. She was the presiding deity of that Lanka. The moment Hanumanji entered into Lanka, thinking that nobody is watching me, who caught him? Lankini caught him. Now we have to indeed appreciate the greatness of this Lankini. Just imagine, one mosquito cannot enter into Lanka. To that extent, the security was tight inside Lanka. The moment Lankini saw this mosquito-sized monkey entering into Lanka, she shouted at him, "How dare, without my permission, you enter into my city? Oh fool, Satha, don't you know who I am? Whoever enters into this Lanka without my permission, such a thief, So she is using all these terms against Hanuman. You are a fool. You are a thief. Who is a thief? Thief is the one who enters into your house without your permission, isn't it? So superficially speaking, yes, Hanuman was a thief only. Without anyone's permission, hidingly he was trying to enter. So, oh thief, oh fool, don't you know who I am? Don't you know that this Lanka is protected by me? And any thief who enters into this Lanka, that thief becomes my food. And thus saying, this Lankini was about to attack Hanuman. Then what happened? Muthika ek mahakapi hani. The moment this Lankini was about to attack Hanuman, Hanumanji became huge in a moment's notice and gave a, huge blow. With his fist, with his tight fist, he gave a blow to Lankini. And what happened to Lankini? Rudhira bamat dharani dhanamani. She fell down. Vomiting blood, she fell down. And the moment she fell down, for some time, she was totally unconscious. Puni Sambhari, she could not control herself. She was on the floor. Somehow she got up, but she got up trembling in fear and with folded hands. And said, oh Kapileshrestha, wait a minute. Before you land another blow, and that will be the final blow, I will die. Before I die, please let me tell you something. And then she tells, Jab Ravanahi Brahma Baradinha Chalat Biranj Kaha Mohi China. So then, now Lankini is telling her story. Oh monkey, please listen. So when Brahmaji gave this, boon to Ravana, I was present there. So what was the, boon given by Brahmaji to Ravana? That you will never be conquered by anyone other than human beings and monkeys. This was the blessing. In fact, this was the blessing which Ravana asked, because according to him, monkeys are very weak, human beings are also weak. So he thought they will never be able to kill. So therefore Brahmaji said, okay, so you will never be able to be conquered by anyone other than human beings and monkeys. And also you will have power, you will rule over all the worlds. This was a blessing given. So Ravana became all powerful because of the blessing of Brahmaji. And as Brahmaji was leaving, the Lankini was there. She went to Brahmaji and said, oh Brahmaji, I have one question to ask. How long should I serve this wicked Ravana? Lankini did not like Ravana, but she was helpless. How long should I serve him? So at that time Brahmaji said, a time will come when he will be killed and one Rama Bhakta will rule Lanka. So then naturally she asked, what is the indication? Will I get an indication when this Ravana is going to be killed? At that time Brahmaji said, a time will come when you are guarding Lanka, a monkey will come and hit you. That, understand, the day that particular day comes, when you will be overpowered by a monkey, understand Ravana's days are counted. Ravana's life is going to end. So this was the indication given to Lankini by Brahmaji. So when this Hanuman gave a blow to Lankini, Lankini remembered this. So immediately she folded her hands. She understood that this monkey is not an ordinary monkey. She is none other than Ramaduta, messenger of Bhagwan Ramchandraji. With folded hands, she told this. So, Kapileshrestha, such a thing has happened. So now I understand that Ravana's life is going to end. His days are counted. So now what does Lankini say? She says, Tat mor ati punya buhuta, dekhu nayan Ram karaduta. Hey Tat means, oh dear one. Now the very same Lankini is calling Hanuman dear one. Earlier what did she call? Oh thief, oh fool, etc. See, really speaking, who is the thief? Ravana is the thief or Hanuman is the thief? Really speaking, it is Ravana who is the thief, because he had stolen Sita ji, isn't it? So now Lankini says, oh dear one, I am so blessed that with my eyes I could see Bhagwan's messenger, Ramaduta. With these eyes I could see, I consider myself to be blessed. And then she says, Tat swarg apavarg sukha dharya tula ek ang tulana tahi sakal mili jo sukh lava satsang. The glory of satsang is mentioned here. She says, O Tat, oh dear one, if there is a beam balance, you know beam balance, where things are weighed. If there is a beam balance, and on one side, if you put all the sukha of swarga and all the sukha of apavarga means moksha. If all the sukha of swarga and moksha is put on one side, and on the other side, the sukha of satsang is put, sukha of satsang for even a moment. If that sukha is put, then this satsanga sukha will weigh more than the swarga apavarga sukha. A beautiful statement, right? Now let us think a little on this. Now here, what kind of satsanga did she get? What she got was a blow, isn't it? A hit from Hanuman. Now she considers even that as satsang. Now here there is a spiritual significance to this. What is the spiritual significance? In satsang, what happens? In satsang, it is only the blow that is happening. Why do you call it blow? Blow to body identification. This is what happens in satsang. What is the essential message of the scriptures? The essential message is, oh dear, oh amritasya putraha, O children of immortality, uttishtata jagrata, arise, awake. You are not this body, you are the consciousness, and not the body, mind, intellect. This is satsang. This is the essence of the scriptures. What is our wrong notion about ourselves? We think that we are this body, but actually who we are none other than Sat, Chit, Anand. We are none other than existence, consciousness, bliss. But today in our ignorance, what we think of ourselves, we don't know that we are Satchit Ananda Atma, we think ourselves to be the body. And from here, all sufferings are born. The moment you consider yourself to be this imperfect, finite body, you experience a state of imperfection. You experience a state of finitude. Actually, you are infinite, but what is your experience? You experience finitude. Actually, you are perfect, but what is your experience? You experience imperfection. You experience imperfection not because you are imperfect, you experience imperfection because you are identified with the imperfect body. Are you able to understand? Body is imperfect, but when I identify with the imperfect, limited body, imperfect, limited, perishable body, what is it that I experience? I experience imperfection, I experience finitude, I experience mortality. So what does the scripture say? Disidentify yourself from the body and identify yourself with consciousness, which is all perfect, which is infinite, which is immortal, which is absolute bliss. This is all we have to do. Know yourself as you are. This is the central message of all the scriptures. So in the scriptures, what is being done? Blow is given to the body identification. That is why Bhajagovindam. What is another name for Bhajagovindam? Moha Mudgara. Mudgara means hammer. Hammer to smash all your mohas, all your delusions, all your confusion. It's a blow. So in Satsanga what happens? Blow is given to all your confusions in life, ignorance. And what is ignorance? Body identification. So here Hanumanji is giving a blow to Lankini's body. Isn't it? It is a kind of satsang. And what happens to her? She vomits blood. What is the name of blood? Blood is called as Rakta. Isn't it? Now what is another meaning of Rakta? Rakta means attachment. Rakta is attachment, so Virakta is detachment. Right? So vomiting blood means what? Giving up attachment. So actually satsanga alone is happening here. A blow is given to body identification, and then as a result there is detachment, there is vairagya. So now what does Lankini say here? Oh dear one, this one moment of satsang is far, far more higher than all the sukhas of this, what you call, swarga or even apavarga. Now you must have heard this term apavarga. What is apavarga? Moksha. Why is moksha named as apavarga? This is also a very interesting topic. You know what is pavarga? What is pavarga? Pa, pha, ba, bha, ma. Isn't it? What is kavarga? Ka, kha, ga, gha, nga. Chavarga, cha, cha, ja, ja, nya. Tavarga, ta, tha, da, da, na. And then pavarga, pa, pha, ba, bha, ma. Moksha is called as apavarga. You know why? Pavarga is not there. Therefore apavarga. What is pavarga? Pa. Pa means papa. Pha means phala. What phala? Karma phala. Pa, pha, ba. Ba means bandhana. Bondage. Pa, pha, ba, bha. Bha. Bha means what? Bhaya. Fear. And the last one is ma. Ma means marana. So that state which is free from papa, which is free from karma phala, which is free from bandhana, which is free from bhaya, which is free from marana, that state is called apavarga. So this is another name for moksha, apavarga. So then, what does Lankini say further? Prapisi nagar ki jay sab kaja, hridaya rakhi Kosalapur raja. Now Lankini says, oh dear Hanuman, now keeping Bhagwan in your heart, enter into the city. I give you full permission, not only permission, I bless you also. Now here again Hanumanji gets the blessing. Earlier who had blessed Hanumanji? Surasa also had blessed Hanumanji. See? So here Lankini says, oh dear Hanuman, enter into the city, but remembering Bhagwan in your heart. Why should I remember Bhagwan in my heart? So here she says, if Bhagwan's gracious look falls on a devotee, even the difficulties becomes an opportunity. A person who has gained the blessing, gained the grace of Bhagwan, now here it is said, Garal Sudharipu Karahimitai Gopad Sindhu Analasitalai. A person who has received the grace and blessing of Lord, for him, what will happen? Garala Sudha. Garala means what? Poison. Poison becomes Sudha. Sudha means nectar, Amrita. A person upon whom Bhagwan's grace is there, for him even the poison becomes Amrita, nectar. Ripu Karahimitai, even the enemies becomes friendly. Even the enemies become friendly. And Gopada Sindhu, even the ocean becomes Gopada. What is this Gopada? When this, what you call, it is called a puddle of water created by the hoof of the cows in that mud. So when the cow walks in that muddy region, what happens? When it places its foot, there is a small pit-like thing, isn't it? In the rainy season, it becomes filled with water. So for a person upon whom Bhagwan's grace is there, even the ocean becomes a puddle of water, a Gopada. And then Analas Sitalai, even the fire becomes cooling. And the reverse is also true. Even the cold fire, even the cold water becomes like fire. And then Sumeru Renu, even the Sumeru mountain becomes a dust. A person upon whom Bhagwan's grace has fallen, a person upon whom Bhagwan's blessing is there, all these things will happen. And literally in Hanuman's case, all these things had happened. If you just count, what was the first one? Garala Sudha, poison becoming nectar. That is the case with Surasa. Who was Surasa? She was the mother of all snakes. Now snake is known for what? Poison. In the end, what did Surasa do? She has blessed Hanumanji. So, poison has become nectar. And the second one, Ripu Karahi Mitai, even the enemies become friends. The best example is Lankini only. Lankini herself is the best example. Later on you will find even Vibhishana also supports Hanuman. Vibhishana, who is supposed to be in the enemy line, he comes and supports Hanuman. Ripu Karahi Mitai. Gopada Sindhu, the ocean becomes a Gopada. That we have already seen. Hanumanji can easily cross over the ocean without any difficulty. And then Anala Sitalai, even the fire becomes cold water. That is going to come. When Hanumanji is going to burn the Lanka, it is said, even though fire was there on the tail of Hanuman, he never felt it hot. He felt it as though it is cold. Nothing happened to Hanuman. That we are going to see in the future. And the reverse is also true. Anala Sitalai means even the cold water becomes like fire. So it is said that when whole Lanka was burning, Ravana, in order to put off this fire, he calls Indra Bhagavan. Now remember, all these devatas were at the feet of Ravana. He was so powerful. All the worlds he had conquered. So even Indra was at the feet of Ravana. So he called Indra and asked him to shower Pralaya rains. During Pralaya, during dissolution, what kind of rain used to come? He asked Indra to shower those rains. And it is said when Indra showered those rains, even that water droplet became oil. Indra was stunned. He had asked only for the rain. So what rain came? Instead of rain of water, rain of oil started coming. And it is said that even the Lanka started burning still further. So whatever is said here is true. And the next is Sumeru Renu. The whole mountain becomes a dust particle. And all these things, it literally happened in Hanuman's case. Okay, moving further. So now Lankini allowed Hanuman to enter into Lanka. And now Hanuman again makes his size very small. Atila Gurup Dhareu Hanumana Petha Nagar Sumiri Bhagavana. Remembering the Lord, he entered into the Lanka. And then what happened? Now his this thing was to search for Sita Mata. Mandir Mandir Pratikari Sodha Dekhe Jahatha Aganita Jodha. He started searching each and every house. Now very interestingly, here the house is named as Mandir. Mandir means what? Mandir means temple. Temple is called Mandir. Now one may wonder why Tulsidas ji has used Mandir here. Instead of using some house or something, he could have used some ghar or bhavan or something. But here he has used Mandir. Why? He has used Mandir because any place where Hanumanji has entered, that becomes Mandir. You understood? There are a lot of commentaries on each and every word of Tulsi Ramayana. See, when Hanuman Pratishtha is done, if a simple rock, when the Pratishtha is done, if that can become Mandir, when the real Hanuman enters into a house, won't it become Mandir? Though it may be a house of a Rakshasa, so what? The moment Hanumanji has placed his foot on that house has become Mandir. Beautiful commentary. Mandir, Pratikari Sodha. Hanumanji started searching each and every house. And he could find big warriors and fighters and this and that. At last, he went into Ravana's house also. Gayu dasanana mandir mahi. At last, he went into Ravana's palace. Ati vichitra kahi jat sonahi. It is impossible to describe that palace of Ravana. All the glory was there, wealth was there, riches, comforts, luxuries. It cannot be described. And what did he do there? After entering into Ravana's palace, Sayana kiye dekha kapitehi mandir mahuna dikhi baidehi. He entered. Now it was a night time. So he entered, and there he found Ravana lying down. Now all those descriptions are there in Valmiki Ramayana. Here Tulsidas ji makes it very clean. So it is said, in Valmiki Ramayana it is said that Ravana was lying down, sleeping, snoring to glory. Just imagine 10 heads and all the 10 heads are snoring. Right? So now Ravana was lying, and all around him there were very many kinds of women lying down, drunk. After dance and music and all kinds of sensual pleasures, they were all lying down here and there. Even their dress was not in the proper position. This was the kind of scene which Hanuman sees inside. All those things are not mentioned in Tulsi Ramayana. All those things are avoided, because unnecessarily, why pollute the mind? With one word it is indicated. What is indicated? Mandir mahuna dikhi baidehi. Now Sita Mata's name here given is Vaidehi. One who has detached herself from her body. One who is free from body identification. So such a person, how can such a person be there in such a palace? So Hanumanji started searching for Sita. He could not find Sita Mata there. And then as he was searching, something wonderful happened. What happened? Bhavan ek puni deekh suhava, hari mandir tah bhinna banava. As he was searching from one house to other, he found a very different kind of house. A beautiful house. And very near to that house there was a temple there. Hari Mandir. There was a temple of Hari. And then what was the specialty of this house? Ramayudha Ankita Graha Sobha Barinina Jai Nava Tulasika Vrindataha Deki Harsha Kapirai. The unique feature about this house was there were indications of Bhagwan's Ayudha. So there was this what he called bow, arrow, shankha, chakra, gada, padma, everything was painted on that house. Maybe on the walls or maybe on the windows or doors or whatever. These things were what called encrypted on the house. Now Hanumanji was stunned. In this Lanka, it is something which cannot be believed. And not only that, in front of the house was this tulasi plant. A group of tulasi plants were also seen. And seeing all this, Hanumanji became very, very happy. In that Lanka, to see such a scene was something which was what you call mind-blowing. Lanka nisichara nikar nivasa iha kaha sajjanakar vasa. This Lanka is a place where all Rakshasas stay. Now Hanuman is thinking within himself. This Lanka is a place where only Rakshasas stay here. Nishacharas stay here. How come? Sajjanakarva, how come a saintly person house comes in this Lanka? Yahan kaha Sajjanakarvasa? Sajjana. How can such a saintly person stay here? Naturally, mind will have so many questions, so many doubts, so many confusions. Because these Rakshasas are all Mayavis. They had all these magical tricks. So Hanuman was wondering, am I seeing the real thing or am I being tricked by some Maya? Because this is something impossible. a Hari Bhakta, a devotee coming here, that too crossing this 800 miles of ocean and coming and staying here is impossible. Even if he stays here, all these Rakshasas will eat him up. So this is something impossible. So this way, doubt was there, confusion was there, what to do next? Now remember, whenever you will find in Tulsi Ramayana, whenever the devotee is in confusion, he doesn't know what to do, at that time something will happen. This always you will find in Tulsi Ramayana. Whenever the devotee is in total confusion, not knowing what to do, in all such confusion, something will happen which will clear away all the confusions and doubts. Then what happened? When this kind of thoughts were going through the mind of Hanuman, what happened? Tehi samaya vibhishanu jaga. Whose house was it? Yeah, it was the house of Vibhishana. The moment on one side here Hanuman was having all confusions to whose house this was. At that time Vibhishana got up. So it was the early morning, maybe 3 or 4 o'clock or whatever. Exactly at that time Vibhishana got up. And what did he do after getting up? Ram Ram tehi sumirana kinha. The moment Vibhishana got up, what did he chant? He chanted Ram Ram. Hridaya harashakapi sajjana chinha. When Hanumanji heard this, Hanumanji was for sure. What? He is definitely a sajjan. There is no maya here. He is truly a sajjan. Sajjan, a saintly person. Now see how difficult the job of a spy is. Now Hanumanji is as a spy, isn't it? Now how did he understand that he is a saintly person? Number one, he got up early in the morning. Nishacharas, when do they get up? They can't get up in the early morning. They sleep early morning. Nowadays all these youngsters, if you see, they sleep at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Go to metropolitan cities and you will know. The sign of this Nishachara. What is this Nishachara? The people who are awake in the, dead of the night. They are called Nishachara. A saintly person, he gets up early in the morning. Why early in the morning? It is Brahma Muhurta. In Brahma Muhurta, all the sadhanas become easy. It is a sattvic environment. So whatever meditation, prayer, etc. you do, it becomes very easy for the mind to get aligned with Bhagavan. So therefore, a sattvic person will never miss the early morning time. Because after that, the rajas starts increasing. Early morning is sattvic. After that comes rajas. After that comes tamas. So the best time to do all sadhana is the early morning. A sattvic, a saintly person will not miss this time. Number one, he got up early in the morning. Number two, he chanted Bhagavan's name. This is a sure sign. Early morning, if a person has to chant the name of Bhagavan, what does it mean? While sleeping also, he slept by chanting the name of the Lord, isn't it? While sleeping, if you chant the name of the Lord and sleep, while getting up, you will chant the name of the Lord and get up. This is a simple psychology. With what thought you sleep, with the same thought you rise early in the morning. So if Vibhishana is seen chanting the name of the Lord and getting up, what does it mean? While sleeping also he was chanting the name of the Lord. Meaning he was remembering Bhagavan all the time. So it was a clear indication that Vibhishana was a saintly person. Hanumanji became very happy. Even though he became happy, he wanted a double confirmation. Because he is a spy. He did not want his plan to go, he did not want to take any risk. So then what did he do? So he understood that this is definitely a saintly person. And therefore, Hanumanji decided that I will take the initiative to befriend him, to become friendly with him. Ehsan hati kari hau pahichani sadhute hoi na karaj hani. And then what did Hanumanji do? Now how to break the ice? Vibhishana has got up. It is early in the morning. In the early morning, nobody is there. Only these two people are there, awake. So, considering this to be the right opportunity to become friendly with this person, what did Hanumanji do? Vipra roop dhari bachana suhaye. He took the form of a Brahmana. He took the form of a Brahmana. Taking the form of a Brahmana, he spoke these beautiful words. What did he speak? It is not mentioned, but he must have spoken Ram Ram. So there Vibhishana took Bhagavan's name. Here Brahmana also took Bhagavan's name, Ram Ram. So when Vibhishana heard these words from outside, Ram Ram, Sunat Vibhishana Uthitah aaye. Immediately he got up, he opened the door, and here was this Brahmana who was chanting Bhagavan's name. Kari pranam puchi kusalaye vipra kahu nich katha bujaye. Vibhishana did pranam to this Brahmana. Now these are all the indications that he is a saintly person. Hanumanji wanted a double confirmation, and it was getting confirmed. The moment this Brahmana form was seen, Vibhishana must have got shock. In this Lanka, how come this Brahmana here? But he did prostration to that Brahmana, and then he asked, O Vipravara, O best among Brahmanas, who are you? Where have you come from? These are all Kushala Prashnas. He asked all those questions. But again this question was there, how did you come here? Crossing all this ocean, etc. How did you come here? And then Vibhishana had some doubts. Now he is asking, Ki tum Haridasa namah koi? Are you somebody who is Haridasa? Haridasa means like Narada Rishi, Sanakadi Rishi. Are you somebody like that? But at the same time, another doubt comes. No, you cannot be Narada, etc., Narada or Sanakadi, because as far as they are concerned, they don't have to come in disguise in Brahmana form. Narada the Rishis have got freedom to go anywhere in all the 14 worlds. So why should they come in disguise? It is not necessary for them. But at the same time, looking at you, more hridaya preeti ati hoy. Now Vibhishana was telling this. I don't know who you are, but looking at you, love is welling up in my heart. I feel as though you are my own. I don't know why. You are a stranger, but looking at you, my heart is filled with love for you. Please tell me who you are. Or, ki tum Ram Deenu Anuragi Ayusu Mohi Karana Badabhagi? Or are you none other than Bhagavan Sri Ramchandraji himself, who has come in this disguise in order to bless this poor, helpless devotee of yours? Are you Bhagavan himself? So when these words were spoken by Vibhishana, Hanumanji understood he is 100% Bhakta of Bhagavan only. And now Hanumanji did not have any reason why he should hide himself. So then Hanumanji told his real name. He came back to his real form. And then, now what was the question asked by Vibhishana? Please tell about yourself. Who are you? Where have you come from? Instead of telling about himself, Hanumanji started narrating the story of Bhagavan Sri Ramchandraja. Ram Katha. Instead of Nija Katha, Hanumanji started narrating Ram Katha. See how beautifully things are written. What does it mean? There was absolutely no ego in the heart of Hanuman. What Vibhishana asked was his story. What Hanumanji narrated was Bhagavan's story. So even when Hanuman had done big job like crossing over ocean, etc., Hanuman was very clear. It is all because of Bhagavan's grace that things are happening. So as Hanumanji was narrating the glory of Bhagavan, what happened was, both of them, their hearts were becoming filled with devotion for God. hair stood on their end. They had horripilation, both of them. As Hanumanji was narrating Bhagwan's glory, both of their hearts were filled with devotion for God. Tears started coming from their eyes. Horripilation started. Hair stood on their end. And both of them were absorbed in that devotion for Bhagwan. Sunatu jugalatana pulakamana magana sumiri gunagram. Right, for some time they just stood there, remembering Bhagwan's glory, filled with devotion for Bhagwan, etc. And now after some time, Vibhishana started speaking. What did Vibhishana say? Sunahu pavanasut rahini hamari jimi dasanahi mahu jibha vichari. Oh Pavanasuta, oh Hanumanji, listen how I am staying in this Lanka. Now here is an example given. What is the simile, comparison? Jimi dasanahi mahu jibha vichari. Just like the tongue is living amidst the teeth, in the same way, I am living amidst these Rakshasas. What is the comparison? Just like the tongue is living amidst the teeth. Now what happens inside our mouth all the time, most of the time? Now and then the teeth will bite the tongue, isn't it? Can the tongue retaliate? Take revenge? No. The tongue has to just tolerate the pain and sit quietly. Isn't it? Now this example is beautiful in very many ways. You can't have a better comparison if you think from different angles. Vibhishana is compared to tongue, and all the Rakshasas are compared with teeth. Now see, when a child is born, what is there inside the mouth? There is no teeth, there is only tongue. When the old man is going to die, what is there in the mouth? Again, there is no teeth, there is only tongue. Isn't it? Though this tongue is very soft, but all through the time, the tongue is present. This is a big lesson to learn. If you want to live in this life happily forever and ever, be like a tongue, not like the teeth. This is a beautiful message given by Socrates. At the time of death, when Socrates was lying on his deathbed, he was poisoned. All the disciples, they gathered around. So one disciple asked, "Sir, what is your parting message?" What is your parting message? Socrates, it is said, Socrates just opened his mouth. This is my message. Nobody understood what it was. Then he explained, see, be like the tongue. Now you see, there is no teeth, only tongue is there. If you want victory, success, prosperity in life, be like a tongue. Be like a tongue means what? Be soft, be gentle, be forgiving, be cooperative, be egoless, ever bow down. Don't be a stubborn, stern, rough, tough, harsh like teeth. This is the message given. A very beautiful comparison. If you want to live happily, live like tongue. You know, there is another beautiful, way to look at it. When teeth bites the tongue, of course, tongue cannot directly take revenge, but tongue can take revenge. You know how? Go to a very harsh, rugged, egoistic person. Now the tongue can speak, teeth cannot speak. Isn't it? Speak some harsh words. What will that person do? He will knock off all the teeth. Isn't it? And this is exactly what happens in Vibhishana's case. What does Vibhishana do? He goes to the enemy line, surrenders to Rama. And it is said that in this Rama Ravana war, there were very many secrets which Rama did not know, but Vibhishana knew it. So Vibhishana becomes a cause to destroy all these Rakshasas. Are you able to understand what I am saying? He reveals very many secrets to Rama, because of which Ravana was able to be killed. So in a way, truly, he worked as a tongue. So what a beautiful comparison. Hanumanji, I am staying in this Lanka just like the tongue is living amidst teeth. Tat kabahu mohi jani anatha karihahu kripa bhanukulanatha. Oh Hanumanji, will Bhagwan shower his grace upon me? This is the question. Because I am unfit for his grace. Vibhishana, why are you unfit? Tamasa tanu. Look, this body is tamasa, Rakshasi body it is. Kachu sadhana nahi. It is not possible to do any spiritual sadhana with this Rakshasi body. Preetina pad saroj manamahi. And in the mind also, there is no love at all. There is no devotion at all at the lotus feet of Lord. This is my condition. Number one, I am born in a Rakshasa family. And such a Rakshasa, what kind of sadhana can he do? And also, I know very much in my heart there is no love for Bhagwan only. So, Hanumanji, will Bhagwan shower his grace on me? But at the same time, now the next line is very famous. It is said, Ab mohi bha bharos Hanumanta binu hari kripa milai nahi santa. Binu hari kripa milai nahi santa. Without Bhagwan's grace, you will never come across a saintly person. You will never get a saint without Bhagwan's kripa. So Hanuman, on the other side, the very fact that I am able to meet you, the satsang has happened. The very fact that even while living in this Lanka, where there is no possibility of meeting any saint, even here, Bhagwan has showered his grace by sending you, a saintly person. So one thing is for sure, Bhagwan's grace is upon me. So now, Vibhishana's mind is oscillating. On one side, I am not fit for Bhagwan's grace. On the other side, I am very clearly seeing his grace. The very fact that you have come in front of me shows that Bhagwan's grace is with me. Now this is a very interesting case. Here, Vibhishana did not take the initiative to become friendly with Hanuman. Hanuman himself is taking the initiative to become friendly with Vibhishana. That means Bhagwan's grace is really there. Jo Raghubir anugraha kina to tum mohi darasu hati dina. So now Vibhishana's question is, Hanumanji, am I fit for his grace? As far as the external things are concerned, I think that Bhagwan's grace is there. But when I look at myself, I feel I am not fit for his grace at all. Now this is the true feeling of a devotee. A devotee will not feel, I am a great devotee of Bhagwan, I am qualified for his darshan, for his grace, etc. No. A true devotee will feel like this. Now see Hanuman's explanation. Hanuman says, Sunahu Vibhishana Prabhu ke riti Karaihi sada sevak par preeti. O Vibhishana, listen. This is the way of the Lord. What is the way? Karaihi sada sevak par preeti. He loves his sevakas. People who serve Bhagwan, he loves him. That is his nature. The one who is surrendered to Bhagwan, serves Bhagwan, remembers Bhagwan. What is the nature of Bhagwan? Bhagwan loves them. This is his nature. He doesn't see whether you are an asura or whether you are an animal or you are a bird or insect. No. What he sees is only one thing. How much surrender is there? How much humility is there? That attitude is more important. And now Hanumanji says, Kahahu kavan mein paramakulina kapi chanchal sabahi vidihina. Look at me. He takes his own example. Hanumanji said, look at me, I am a monkey. I am even more inferior than you. By all ways, I am inferior. I am not someone who is born in a very good family. At least your father is Pulastya Rishi. Somebody great is there in your family. Look at me. I am a monkey. Kapi chanchal. What is what you call feature of a monkey? Chanchal. Body is chanchal, fickle. Mind is chanchal. The senses are chanchal. Sabhi vidihina. In no way a monkey is qualified to receive the grace of Bhagavan. Prat le jo naam hamara, tehi din tahina mile ahara. Those people who take our name in the early morning, they will not even get food that day. So inferior we are, so wretched we are. But asme adham sakha suno mohu par raghubir कीन्ही कृपा सुमेरी गुण भरे बिलोचनने. Such a wretched person that I am, such an inferior person that I am, such an unfit person that I am, even Bhagavan has showered his grace on me. That is Bhagavan's greatness. And as Hanumanji was telling this, remembering that Bhagavan's glory, his gunas, his virtues, tears started falling from Hanumanji's eyes. Why tears started falling? Because he has experienced that grace. Vibhishana is yet to experience, Hanumanji had already experienced. As he was glorifying Bhagavan's guna, tears started falling. So what is the message here? The message is this: if we want to invoke the grace of Bhagavan, how should we be? We should consider ourselves as insignificant. Now, is it difficult? It is very easy. Give up this stupid ego. Keep it aside. This is all what we have to do in this path of devotion. Everybody is fit. Nobody is unfit. But only condition is, come with humility. In your own eyes, you should be insignificant. And it is so easy. It is so easy to be humble in life. Just pay attention to the realities of life, and anyone has no other choice to become humble. Isn't it? We are all alive. Yes? Now just ask this question: how many factors keep us alive on this planet? How many factors? External factors, how many? Food is needed, air is needed, then shelter is needed, water is needed. Now if you start counting these, how many factors? Infinite number of factors. The speed of rotation of earth, the distance between sun and earth, the humidity, the temperature, how many factors? You will find there are infinite number of factors which are keeping us alive on this planet. This is outside. Inside, heart has to work, kidney has to work, liver has to work. How many? Infinite factors. And how many factors do you have control? Not even one. So there are infinite number of factors because of which we are alive. Not even one factor is in our control. All the factors are controlled by whom? Bhagavan. Thank God it is not in our control. Assume that this freedom is given to you. You have to control. Then in a moment's notice everyone will die. Isn't it? The most important things are all taken care by Bhagavan. Therefore we are alive. Therefore we have time to worry, become anxious and tensed and all that. The point is this: it is so very simple to become humble. Just pay attention to the realities of life. And when you pay attention, you will come to know that each one, what is our feeling then? We will come to know, oh Lord, I am nothing, I have nothing, I know nothing, I can do nothing. Any doubt? God, I am nothing, I have nothing, I know nothing, I can do nothing. It's a fact. If you want to become egoistic, you will have to ignore this reality. Then only you can become egoistic. If you want to become humble, just pay attention to these. Now these great devotees have become great devotees. Why did they become great devotees? They are grounded to the truth. They are in touch with the truth. So to become a devotee of Bhagavan is very, very easy. Just become humble. Just be grateful. Humility and gratitude. These are the two most important qualifications in spirituality. Humility, a feeling that Bhagavan, I am a nobody. And second thing, gratitude. Bhagavan, whatever I have is because of you. I am something because of you. I have something because of you. I know something because of you. I can do something all because of you. If this feeling is there, devotion will surge in the mind. It will well up in the heart easily, effortlessly. Now these are the qualities you should find in these great devotees. So this way, when Hanumanji remembered the blessings he has received from Bhagavan, his eyes became filled with tears. And then what happened? So this way they were discussing the glory of Bhagavan. And then Vibhishana started speaking. Now Hanumanji has come in search for Sita. Vibhishana has understood. So then Vibhishana started saying, Puni sab katha Vibhishana kahi jehi vidhi janaka sutata harahi. After that, Vibhishana started narrating how Sita Mata is living in Ashoka garden. How she was staying there. All those things Vibhishana told. So naturally Hanumanji asked, Vibhishanji, I need your help. I really don't know where that Sita Mata is. I need your help. Please guide me. And then Vibhishana guides Hanuman, because they are all very secret. In a secret place Sita Mata was kept. And Vibhishana knew everything because his own daughter is Trijata. You must be knowing Trijata. Trijata was one among the Rakshasis who were guarding Sita. So because Vibhishana's own daughter was there, he knew all secrets. So then Vibhishana gives the secret of how to find her, the way to find her, everything. Vibhishana guides Hanumanji. And then what happened? Kari soi roop gayau punitahava ban asok sita rah jahava. Again, taking up his initial form. What was his initial form? Small monkey. What is the size of that monkey? Mosquito. Yes, taking that form. And then Hanumanji goes to that place where Sita Mata was staying. And what did he see? Dekhi manahi mahukeen pranama. He reached that place and there he found Sita Mata sitting under that Ashoka tree, surrounded by all these Rakshasis. It is said all kinds of ugly faces were there. Some had many hands and some many legs and many heads and many eyes, many mouth. Very scary. All these Rakshasis were there around. All these things are not here in Tulsi Ramayana. It is there in Valmiki Ramayana. So Sita Mata was sitting there, and what did Hanumanji do? Hanumanji knew that this is not the time to come and introduce myself to Sita Mata. So from there itself, sitting on the branch of the tree itself, he did prostration to Mother Sita. Dekhi manahi mahakeen pranama. She prostrated to her. Because Hanumanji knew this is not an ordinary woman, she is the mother of the universe. Jagat Janani she is. He prostrated to her. बैठ ही बीत जाति निस नामा कृस तनु शीस जटाइक बेनी जपत हृदय रघुपति गुण श्रेणी. Now there is a description of how Sita was seated there. It is said that she did not take any food, no sleep. Forget about sleep. She was just sitting in a particular position throughout the night. Now Hanumanji comes in the night. In the night also she did not take any rest. She was just seated there. And what was her body? Krisatanu. She had become thin. Now it was almost 10 months that Sita Mata had come there. It's almost 10 months. She did not take any food. She had become lean and thin. In one Ramayana it is said that the finger ring had become bangled for her. The finger ring had become bangled. Means what? She has become so thin. She is jata ek beni. Now just imagine, no bath. The hair had become like matted lock. No combing, no shampooing, no oiling, nothing. And she had become very, very thin. And what was she doing? Japata hridaya raghupati guna shreni. She was all the time chanting the name of Bhagwan Sri Ramchandra ji, remembering his glories. This was how she was passing time. Nija pada nayan diye man Ram pada kamalaleen. And where was she looking? She was always looking at her feet. Looking at her feet, she was remembering Bhagwan's lotus feet. Parama dukhi bha pavana sutta dekh Janaki deen. Looking at the condition of Janaki Mata, Hanumanji became very, very miserable. But now he can't do anything also. Now see the misery of Hanuman. He was very strong. He could have taken Sita Mata also, but he can't do anything. A helpless situation he was in. Taru pallav mahuraha lukai kare bichar karonga bhai. So what was Hanuman doing there? In that tree, now you see it's a Ashoka tree. So Hanumanji was hiding behind one leaf because he is very small. So Hanumanji was hiding behind one leaf and watching all this. And he was saying, Kare bichar karunga, what should I do? I am not able to stand this sorrow of Sita Mata. What am I supposed to do? Now here again Hanumanji is in trouble. Hanumanji is in confusion. What to do? Now whenever there is a trouble or confusion for a devotee of Lord, what should happen? Something should happen, isn't it? What is that something? We will see tomorrow. Right? Something happens. What happens? Let us see tomorrow. Om sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet, asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.